Hi, welcome to this revision video on KSI for the WJC exam board for A-level. So KSI, also known as JJ Olatunji, is a British Nigerian YouTuber and rapper, entrepreneur and boxer, co-founder of the Sidemen Group, CEO of Misfit Boxing, co-owner of Prime Hydration, franchises with Sidemen with Sides, XRX Vodka, Sidemen Clothing. He holds the IBC Cruiserweight Championship in professional boxing, came to fame by uploading comedy gaming videos or commentary videos on FIFA. His channel then diversified to vlogs and comedy clips. August 2022, he had over 24 million subscribers on his YouTube and 6 billion views across all of the channels. He's a successful recording artist, and his second album, All Over the Place, debuted at #1 on the UK album charts, and he had 4 #1 hits. So let's start off with media language. So KSI uses direct address to the camera and an amateur aesthetic. He's either sat in his bedroom in a small studio with everyday mise-en-scène, which is cheap lo-fi production, uses of language associated with young urban men, regular guests, which is friends or family. In his older videos, he used to have a lot of guests with guest references with his brother Deji or his mum and dad. He has desensitised humour, which has been borderline offensive in the past, which he has commented on later, saying he is embarrassed for his past behaviour. He's changed from a Z-list celebrity to an A/B-list celebrity. He flips his persona to fit his audience, such as when he's on TV, as on like Blue Peter or Celebrity Bake Off. He fits the more generalised audience standards, so he's more toned down. Whereas on his YouTube or when he makes appearances on the Big Nasty Show, he has more edgier humour that is more controversial. Genre-wise, he is clever at anticipating trends and follows mainstream codes and conventions. His music videos follow similar conventions to hip-hop or grime, which is panning, tracking, long shots of the artist. Intertextuality. Many YouTubers, especially esports players, their own products exist adjacent to media text. He uses this as a harness to launch pads and publicise his scripted comedy or other channels, including boxing and his music career. Product placement. In his videos, he has product placement of Prime or various Sidemen items and even references to music awards he has won. This links to the culture of kids buying Prime bottles and putting them on their shelves as decor, and this entices audience consumership. So an example of this is you've got a vlog of his that's called I Got Roasted, which is unscripted, authentic, honest delivery with candid footage, uncensored language and laughing. Direct address, amateur aesthetic, which is non-diegetic footage, speech filter, black and white footage, which is arguably high production. Participatory, it's a Reddit page where he obviously interacts with what his fans are saying and posting, as well as audience comments. We can link this to Baudrillard, who talks about how basically in media now we are just starting to see this collapse in society where we can't distinguish what's real and what's fake. So what is simulation, what is reality, and YouTube and the internet follows this because you can't really tell people from their online persona to what's actually their real life personality. And this is constructing identity and appearing relatable with success that appears achievable, and as well bars, semiotics, codes and conventions of his music videos are quite typical. Representation. He's constructed a cocky, cool older brother persona, which is a hyper masculine personality. This is communicated through success, strength, funny and heterosexual ideologies. He can choose to represent himself how he pleases due to the self-regulation of YouTube, so he's a gatekeeper of his own representation. During this time on social media, he has changed the way he's represented himself, whereas pre-2018 he was often arrogant, offensive, cocky, loud, whereas post 2018, where he started to diversify his career into different parts of the industry, he is driven, more toned down, silly. This fits more industry standards, and he's become more like media trained, so he's more pleasable for the public eye. KSI's persona could be described as quite a big part of his success, as he does kind of split it between humour and being financially successful and being successful in sport, and women quite a big part of his personality. He portrays himself as down to earth and very much an older brother figure who are placed on a pedestal by fans. Prime provides the audience with a backstory and narrative where he's shown through his forgiving attitude and reinforces this sporting appeal. We can obviously see this in his videos as well, how he kind of presents himself. Below, obviously, you got his own videos, which are more jokey, his authentic personality. He can speak a bit more controversial as it's his own content he's setting up, where his music videos dominate kind of his main channel. It's more professional, there's industry standards, follows codes and conventions of typical music videos. There is even some voyeuristic and sexual exploitation of videos in women in his videos. His boxing videos, he mentions in the men's health interviews that he likens himself to Lewis Hamilton, Michael B. Jordan and Ronaldo, which are three major sports legends in their respective practice. Simon videos is similar to his personal persona, as they can all self-regulate, and kind of with the heterosexual norms, you can think of Sidemen Tinder. Representation for young black men. He uses the acronym to reflect his values, knowledge, strength and integrity. And when he first started YouTube, he was in a predominantly white middle class space. If you remember back from like 2011, 2013, I think they were called the YouTube Crew, and it was like Joseph, Caspilly, Sawella, Louise Pentland's Alfie Days and whatnot, and they were obviously the biggest people in British YouTube at the time, and they were all white and from quite well off backgrounds. He responded to negative comments when he was having a negative representation of him from past comments that have been perceived as sexist or homophobic and even racist, but he's tried to kind of take himself away from this negativity and apologise for his actions and thanked audience for making him more conscious about what he says and how he's delivering some of his content. He also changed the machoism from his first fight, which was very laddish, to something that when he went into his second fights or later fights, he is showing a more driven ambition and kind of more of a sportsmanship side rather than arrogance. We also see that throughout his media output ranges, we have high and low production values, but more now that he's kind of grown into a bigger celebrity, a lot of his videos are high production. Wise, looking at Van Zunen. Van Zunen looks at the radical and gender stereotypes within the time. KSI began his career in the UK media when the space was predominantly white and middle class. There's male gaze in his music videos, such as if you look at the Holiday music video, it looks at voyeurism as women. Presents women as sexual objects rather than subverting dominant ideologies, which he does have the chance to do, but still chooses to represent women quite typically. The male body is predominantly represented through sports images celebrating masculinity. Butler identity as a performance. KSI performs many combinations of masculine rituals and traits, such as being highly competitive, suspicious of femininity, motivated by success and victory, rude and crude behaviour, and physical strength and endurance, highlighted by the Not Over Yet music video. And Gauntlet, JJ's relatable personality is modelling how anyone can be successful, and it could be helped to the audience to construct their own identities and kind of believe they can enter these spaces of success. He has a fluidity in his nature and his identity, such as being a musician, a sportsman, a businessman, and kind of that brother as well at the same time. So audience. KSI's audience are teenage boys, largest banter, 12 to 15 years old. Maybe watch content that is similar to KSI's or watch other YouTube channels that he's appeared on, such as the Sidemen, even like Beta Squad, who are like quite parallel to the Sidemen in the content they produce. Interest in video games, football and sports, assumed a heteronormative sexual identity, helps to explain his audience reaction to prime drinks, hydration, seeing it as obviously a massive sports connotation, and obviously the prime bottles now hold quite high cultural capital for young boys, and sports interests are also targeted through the Sidemen charity matches. KSI appears to split his videos across 2 channels. We're going to exclude the Sidemen here. On his KSI channels, it's more professional, high production values, boxing and music. This is kind of, even though his original career started as KSI, he's kind of made this more of his like dominant media space to represent himself. This reinforces the KSI brand and persona, whereas on JJ Olatunji, it's more traditional styled YouTube, utilising vlogging convention, established authenticity, collaborative content. We've got junk cuts, everyday mise en scène, product placement, which is kind of still keeping him at his roots and kind of keeping audience still interested who liked that almost authenticity and Big Brother style he had back in the day, and it's just obviously moved to a different channel now. An example of this is Why Am I Getting So Much Hate? Discusses his charity work and the sadness that he and the Sidemen feel. I'm pretty sure this was the video where they discussed helping a young boy who had cancer, I'm pretty sure. This video serves to offer the audience a confession narrative that insights to his deeper self, which is different from funny and confident. His persona often, this allows the audience to access his personal thoughts and emotions, and kind of allows audiences who might be young boys to open up about how they feel, which is quite a positive representation and construction for audiences. He uses a filter to reinforce the emotions. He looks away from the camera, he covers his eyes. The technique of including KSI's image in the corner of the screen with the redaction videos provides a dual function, allows the audience to see, still see what he's viewing and view it themselves, but also watch it through his eyes. Product placement is a targeting technique. We've got background mise en scène. Mirrors the setup to this audience who we've quite had for years, explain Prime as a status symbol and reinforces a success. I'm a winner, I stay a winner. When in KSI's most answered questions from wide interview, he appears, obviously wide interviews are most known for celebrities, so this kind of perceives to tell the audience that he is at a celebrity status. It's Your Boy KSI suggests it's a deep connection and an ownership by the audience. This informal mode of address kind of reinforces audience relationship with him. I've Made It suggests KSI is humble and he wants his audience to celebrate his success with him. And looking at the Sunday League Football Reacts videos on Simon Reacts, they say ladies and gentlemen, which is kind of a formal and friendly greeting. Offers relatable content for majority of UK-based audiences. Positions Sidemen as similar to their audiences. Audience can feel validated and have their opinions and reaction mirrored back to them, and particularly with regards to humour and cultural knowledge. Theory-wise, we have Stuart Hall's reception theory, which is it's a combination involved of encoding by producers and decoding by the audiences. So we've got the preferred reading, which is obviously what is fully accepted and understood by the producers as being taken in by the audience, which is old versus new KSI videos allows both sets of fans to enjoy his content while simultaneously showing the change in his persona. Oppositional, which is you understood the message but the decoder disagrees with it. This could be a slightly older audience who is suspicious that a young person become rich and successful through a non-traditional career path. and kind of how this affects them in their careers and future careers, as we are kind of coming into more of a creative industry as media evolves. And negotiated reading, which is adapted to fit the decoder's context. So this could be a white middle class child taking on the laddish culture, but not acknowledging the fact that KSI is an inspirational black man in the media. Next we have Jenkins, which is fandom. KSI encourages his fans to interact with him through comments and Reddit pages, providing opportunities to share ideas for future videos or provide ideas for new content that the audience want to see. This is also done through like a lot of them were like, oh, if you like the video, like and subscribe, so they can tell which content is obviously getting the most interaction, so they can kind of keep making that content that gives them more audiences. You obviously got textual approaching, which is edits and fan arts, and KSI has a lot of them. KSI fans will be prosumers, using the concept we media to create their own content by using streaming sites such as YouTube and TikTok and Instagram to distribute them. Shirky's end of audience theory. KSI's audiences are no longer passive consumers. They want the ability to speak back in variations ways, and media obviously engages this by creating and sharing content, which is what he does with his Reddit pages. Here we have some of the examples of some of the fan art. Often this is distributed just online, but a lot of them is kind of made to his attention through his Reddit page. Quickly look at industry. Social media and tactics that are used to drive audience engagement is promotional preview of material releases. Sidemen kind of do this thing with the end of their content where they're like, what's coming next week, or if they've got like a massive video, they'll give like a little preview and snapshot that kind of gets audiences intrigued. You've got Twitter and hashtags, product matter interactions such as behind the scenes, which is kind of like more Sidemen, or like KSI JJ Matunji, he kind of posts behind the scenes videos there for his KSI channel, which obviously is his music videos, his boxing. Crossover events and collaborations with different groups. You can think of this with like the Beta Squad, or when he's made collaborations with different artists for his album. Competitions give away loyalty rewards, think of Sidemen clothing and how they've given away Sidemen clothing to build up the hype, or they've given away Sidemen charity match tickets, and this expanded KSI's career. Looking at production, distribution, circulation and globalisation, KSI has moved from zero budget videos to mass online sporting events. By using global platforms like YouTube, by cultivating a distinct young black British voice, KSI's achieved the model to make local distribute global. He often features other successful people on his albums, such as in his recent album with Lil Wayne, Tom Grennan, Nathan Dawe, 21 Savage, who obviously major not just globally or like in the UK, but literally all over the world. Achieving success in the US market by making traditionally resonant content, because obviously is obviously with Prime, that has not just been so successful in the UK but in the US due to its hooks with Logan Paul and their kind of backstory. How has the internet impacted on media industries? Characterised by new audiences' behaviours who got interaction with new content, greater levels of engagement but lower retention rates, so content has to kind of keep getting better and better to keep those audiences engaged, but we want to see more, and because of retention rates being low, our videos don't tend to be as long, and that's why people like YouTube, because you can kind of turn it on, turn it off, whereas instead of watching a film or a TV show you're going to have to keep pausing. And free media is now an expected norm. We've also got media has allowed normal people to create and distribute their own content, and removing traditional gatekeeping barriers by big obviously power within media. Disrupted of the power structures that traditionally operated in media. This has allowed major media and corporations to strengthen their economic status, as they have used the internet to help this. The rise of KSI is undoubtedly a clear example of the internet being so powerful, and obviously showing that there is different roles there's different ways you can get into the media industry now, and how he can use his voice to demonstrate the democratic nature of the digital media industry. With theorists, Livingstone and regulation, YouTube is obviously self-regulatory, so he self-regulates his own content. He chooses what he wants to put out there and what he wants people to access. This links to diversity of audience, and he can choose how he kind of represents himself by putting his own content out there. YouTube also has loose regulations to put out content, and has previously received backlash from comments that has been made in his videos, which could have been prevented if he would have been more safer with gatekeeping his identity. Curran and Seaton, his ownership of video promotions on company and streaming platform also illustrates his independence from the usual gatekeeping limitations on creativity. So his obviously platform is built on him, so all of his products and that he creates are all creative to him. Gauntlet, digital technology, the internet and all media products overlap and are interconnected, and in contrast to traditional views that the internet was an optional extra for market products, it is now obviously a necessity, and using media and using digital age of technology is a necessity to keep industry and people who have obviously an online persona, to keep them online and keep them within their industry and their job. And Hesmenhauser Power Media, KSI covers Hesmenhauser. All his content is produced independently with no limitations by large cultural institutions, which means he can make creative content that keeps audience engaged and keeps kind of audiences diversifying. He now also operates alongside a number of other cultural industries such as sporting and music, showing how he's diversifying his career, and his audiences are aspirers and mainstreamers. That's the end of this video. I hope that kind of explains some of the points. I know it's not a perfect explanation, but it kind of gives you a good outline to know what you're talking about. So good luck on learning the content and the exam, and I'll see you soon.